Hello, fine people of the internet. This is Dennis from Grounded Reason. Today's September 10th, and I was going to do a Grounded Reason news update on Sling TV because they had quite a few channel announcements this week. I was out on some of the forums, though, and I've noticed that occasionally I'll run into posts about some Sling TV streaming quality issues. Same with Vue, PlayStation Vue. And I was going to go over what I think the issue is in a lot of those cases and how you can fix them as well. So what's turned into what was going to be a news update on Sling TV's channel announcements is kind of turned into a little bit more of maybe a bonus episode for today on a Saturday. I know it's not Monday and Joel's not here, but I got a lot to cover. So more of a bonus episode than a news update. But let's get into it. So Sling had some really, really big news. They added on another premium channel. So in addition to HBO and Cinemax, Sling TV has now added Stars as an add-on package. The Stars add-on package is going to be available on both the blue and the orange base package, and it will run $9 a month. So if you want to know the difference between the blue and the orange Sling TV package, you can check out Grounded Reason podcast episode 3. I think it's called Streaming Cable TV. And we get into both Sling TV, both packages, all the add-ons, and we also discuss PlayStation Vue. It's basically, you know, the options you have of streaming live TV, live cable TV stations over the internet. So the new Stars add-on package not only has Stars content, but also Encore. So it includes like a pretty vast collection of movies and TV shows that you would normally see if you had cable and you just popped on your on-demand Stars and Encore. Most importantly, this add-on package gives Sling TV owners or customers, subscribers, if you will, a way to enjoy a TV show that was spawned by the most important work of art humankind has ever created. That work of art obviously being Evil Dead 2, and that show, of course, being Ash vs. Evil Dead. So, you know, to sum that up in a word, groovy. To get people on board, Sling TV is actually going to give a free 7-day preview to Stars and Encore. So if you sign up for that package, you get 7 days free, which means if you pick it up today, you'll be able to catch the premiere of Star Wars The Force Awakens. That premieres tonight, September 10th at 9 p.m. on Stars. So if you are the one person that hasn't seen Star Wars The Force Awakens, now's your chance. And if you have seen it, it's worth another view. I mean, I've seen it 5 times. It's a fantastic movie. I mean, if you're a Star Wars fan, I think it did all the right things and kind of gave us the Star Wars movie, at least I've been waiting for since Return of the Jedi came out. I'm looking at you, prequel trilogy. Yep, so if you want to catch Star Wars Force Awakens for free and you're a Sling subscriber, go ahead and pick up the Stars package and you can watch it tonight. I'll put a link in the show notes. But that's not all Sling had to announce this week. They also announced, for you college sports fans out there, that they added the Pac-12 networks to its Sports Extra package. So if you're a Sling TV subscriber, you have either the orange or the blue, both plans work. You can subscribe to Sports Extra, and you can get live access to all 6 Pac-12 regional sports networks. And it doesn't matter where you live in the country, you'll still be able to watch. And I mean, that's all 6 networks. It's you can see University of Arizona and Arizona State University on Pac-12 Arizona. You got University of California, Berkeley, and Stanford universities on the Pac-12 Bay Area network. You got UCLA and USC on Pac-12 Los Angeles. You got Utah and Colorado and Pac-12 Mountain. You got University of Oregon and Oregon State in Pac-12 Oregon, and University of Washington and Washington State University in Pac-12 Washington. Now, you can live anywhere in the country, watch any one of those networks. So, I mean, that's a big bonus for a lot of college sports fans out there. Again, that's either package, and all you have to do is subscribe to the Sports Extra add-on package. And lastly, and probably leastly, they also announced that they have a new app for Windows 10. And it'll now work with the Windows 10 voice integration, and it also uses the touchscreen interface. So you can finally use the touchscreen interface if you're watching Sling TV on Windows 10. Or, you know, I guess you could hook your laptop up to the television, use an HDMI cable, and watch it there. Put the monitor output onto your TV. Okay. But, I mean, those channel additions, Sling TV is really, really coming into their own here. These additions, they come on the heels of, they recently added NFL Network, NFL Red Zone, and before that, they added all the Fox regional sports networks. They a lot of Fox and NBC owned channels, and they even have local live broadcasts of Fox and NBC, the local affiliate channels. So it looks like their strategy is really going in on the cord cutting movement. I mean, they have those new commercial spots out right now with Danny Trejo, pretty much calling out cable TV for their hidden fees and for the rental fees and the long-term contracts. So it looks like Sling is finally going after those that are fed up with the pay TV system, and it looks like they feel that they either don't care about cannibalizing their core business or they aren't really worried about it for whatever reason. But more importantly, it looks like they see an opening against traditional pay TV with Sling TV, and it looks like they're really going all in and putting a lot of effort into picking up these channels. So next I wanted to talk about some stuff I've been seeing out there, especially, I don't know, if anyone's out there on Reddit, the Cord Cutter subreddit. It's a place where people can go and ask questions, and then cord cutters, I'm on it, like myself and some other folks, will help people with their issues. Of course, they want you to go ahead and read the guides first, but if you have a question, you can go out there and ask, or, you can come to groundedreason.com and put a comment in one of the posts, and I'll answer it there. But the complaint is that, like, services like Sling TV or PlayStation View or Vue or Voix, or however you want to pronounce it, they tend to buffer sometimes. Now, this is a couple issues here. First, you can't, because what I'll see people do is they'll go on there and they'll be like, well, Netflix works fine, but I go ahead and I fire up Sling and it starts to buffer. There is a big difference between Sling TV and Netflix, and that comes into where Sling TV is live. It's a live feed. Netflix is more of an on-demand. It's recorded. So when it comes to the error correction, when your network is communicating with their network at Netflix, there's a lot more leeway in, correcting, packet loss, data loss, slow connections, things like that. With a live feed, it is very, very important that you have a good connection. So you will see, if your network is weak, you might have no problem at all with Netflix because a lot of the effort is done ahead of time. It's an on-demand feed. It's sitting there. All the, the transcoding and all that is done already. So really, they're just feeding you much like a podcast or a file that's just sitting out there. They're sending it down. When it comes to live TV, a lot of the processing and everything else is done, and then you get that stream right away. So there's a lot less room for, weak connections. And lo and behold, anytime I've talked to someone and they're complaining about services that offer live, like Sling TV or PlayStation's Voix, then I go in and their router is tucked away somewhere, or their streaming device is hidden in a cabinet. That really impacts the ability to transmit a Wi-Fi signal throughout your house. You want to let that signal breathe. You want to free your router. Actually, you want it high in the house. You don't want it tucked in the basement somewhere, because signals go kind of out and up and then down. So if you are in the basement, it may not reach, a quality signal may not reach your device upstairs in the living room, or worse, on the second floor in the bedroom. So how do we fix this? Well, the easy answer is go Ethernet. I mean, then you're guaranteed, if your network is okay and healthy, then you're guaranteed to, make sure that that signal is getting from your router to your streaming device or your computer or your mobile device. Now, I know a lot of people out there don't want to use wired Ethernet. So I can give you some tips on what to do. First, don't pretend you're like the governor from Walking Dead and your router is your zombie child Penny and it needs to be locked away so no one in the world can see it. It needs to be up in a high location in your house, and it needs to be able to breathe. That signal needs to be able to get out there and around your house. Second, if you are having issues, most people try to grab the AC network if they can. If you have a, if you have a router, you'll have like a 5 gigahertz network. It's, we'll say AC on it. Now that, while that signal is much more powerful than the N signal, it tends to have a shorter range. So in certain situations, depending on where your router is in regard to your streaming device, the N network might be better. So you're probably asking yourself, well, how do I figure this out? Well, you can grab an app if you're having issues. Before, like if Sling starts buffering, grab something like, there's an app called Quick, and it will tell you what, you go to the room, like get the app, put it on your phone, go into the room where your streaming device is, run Quick, and it will give you your upload and download speeds. But more importantly, it'll tell you latency. And that is really like the signal delay. Now, a healthy connection, you don't want to get above 30 milliseconds of latency. And you want it to be, in order to stream, I recommend you need a constant 5 MIPS. So if it says 5 MIPS, that's not good, because sometimes you'll be getting 2, sometimes you'll be getting 8. And when you're getting 2, then the Sling service or View service becomes overloaded, it's going to start dropping those weaker connections first. So you'll get dropped if there's a lot of latency or slow speed. Well, actually, the two go hand in hand. So you want to make sure that you're probably around 10 MIPS in your room that you're streaming from, and that your latency is under 30 milliseconds. Now, I mean, if you want to get technical, sometimes you can get something called jittering, where you'll have, no latency, low latency, and then all of a sudden you have a lot of latency, and then it goes back and forth. Well, that's a good chance for you to get dropped as well. And sometimes it's hidden. Like if you have a really low latency, and then a really high one, sometimes it can average to be under 30. If you want to troubleshoot that, you're going to have to get on a laptop and from the room you're in, and I'll put a link on how to do that in the show notes. And what it'll do is it'll give you your latency for each ping, because it'll send, by default, it'll send 4 hits to your router, and then it'll tell you, how many milliseconds delay it was. If it's under 30 for each one, you should be fine. But really, that's where all these problems come into play. And sometimes you'll, if you test it, hook your phone up to your 802 or your AC network, your 802.11 AC network, see what that is, and then try the N network and see what that is. Go with a stronger connection. Now, there's also, if I go way in the weeds here, you can actually set up something on your router called quality of service. Now, what that'll do is it will set aside a certain amount of bandwidth in your network for a given device. Now, I have mine set to be at 5 MIPS, which means no matter what happens in the house, like if all my kids, that the 5 MIPS is set to my Roku. If my kids get online and my wife's online, they all start streaming stuff on their devices and computers, it could impact the signal on the transmission to the Roku. So what I've done is I set up quality of service from the router to the Roku to say, no matter what, set aside these 5 MIPS for the router to the Roku. And that way I will always have that speed if it's available. Others be damned. So if you set that up, and I'll put that link also in the show notes, because that's a bit of a complicated situation. Now I have links how to do it on my personal router and how to do it on Verizon's Fios router. But really, that isn't for everyone. That's what I did because I'm a bit anal when it comes to networking. But for most people out there, you can get a great signal around your house if you just let your router out. Let it see the world. Let it enjoy life. Don't lock it away in the basement or stick it in a cabinet. And the same with your Roku or your Amazon Fire TV or your Apple TV. Let that thing shine. Sit that thing right on your TV stand or, up on the wall, and be proud that you're not using cable. Show people, tell people. It's a conversation piece. Let them know that you're only spending, $20 a month for all your TV content while they're signing over their firstborn to Comcast or Time Warner or whatever. But I get it. The aesthetics they don't please everyone with a router. So if you or your spouse really, it is a deal breaker if you have a router out where the world can see, then just put it up way high, like as high as you can get it in your house to where no one can see it. like maybe up on a high shelf somewhere. The trick is to just have those antenna coming off the router. Just they need to be out, and they need to be able to broadcast that signal. And if you do that, and you're, in decent range, if your streaming device is within decent range of your wireless access point on your router, or another, standalone wireless access point, then everything should be fine. You should see quality streaming from services that do live TV, like Sling, like View. Now, there are lots of exceptions when it comes to IT. So I'm not saying that this is everyone's problem, but I'm telling you, when I run into it, 90% of the time, it is the Wi-Fi signal. And really, like I said before, the easy fix, just plug that thing into an Ethernet cable and send it down to your router. And I know you get the wiring issue, but you can hide wires. You can put some wiring. It might be a pain. No one wants to drill in the wall, but that is really the surefire method to make sure that you're going to have streaming quality is to put it on Ethernet. All right, I've gone on long enough, so everyone enjoy The Force Awakens tonight with their free stars on Sling TV. I'll put a link in the show notes for that as well, and we will see you on Monday.